That Byron I see? Do my eyes deceive me?
I know it's crazy.
What is going on?
Hey guys.
Good to be here. I've I've
Uh,
missed more of these than I've been on, but you know, that's how it goes.
Kara hasn't, and she's
Oh, I
way
know.
further ahead than you are. Way
I
further.
know. I know. And that's this huge belief that I have in me. We really got to sort this all out.
That's right. Got to stamp it out.
Welcome, Pete.
Yes, Pete's new.
Hey everybody, good to see you, meet you. I kind of feel like I already know you from the recording a little bit, but yeah, I'm really glad to be here. That the universe put me in touch with Tony, and I'm grateful to be here.
Elaine's not new, but I think she might be new to the Zoom. Have you been to the Zoom before? I don't remember.
I came in briefly, yeah, and no, this is the first time that I'm here with face on. So
Good to see you, Elaine.
nice to see you guys. Yes,
Yeah.
Annie, Rachel, Tony, you're the ones I know. Everyone else, hi, nice to meet you.
Too.
Thanks.
Okay. So what y'all want to talk about today? Jack, did I tell you I bought one of those Nova things? You're muted. What's a Nova
Unmute. Okay,
There you
sweet.
go.
I could not figure out how to unmute myself. Yeah, have you received it yet?
I haven't got it yet, but I did order it.
Yeah, that
Looks
thing
pretty cool.
it's been crazy for me. Like for whatever reason, I haven't been able to just like sit and get to stillness enough to just start shaking and tremoring again. But that thing could get me there in like a few minutes. Um, I've kind of been curious about like my body kind of like will shake and tremor, but like it definitely feels like it's stopping. Like I'm not, my friend was saying like there isn't like a finishing cycle. There's not like a relief or like it's not passing through. It just kind of, it just keeps slamming into my sternum. And
Mhm.
I was wondering if, should I just, like, is it just that I'm just, not ready to let it all rip and I just have to get like accustomed to it? Or is there something I can do to uh, get this moving?
I would just next time it comes up, I would just feel into it and see if there's a thought there that's blocking it, some sort of thought you're having, or
Hmm.
I mean,
Okay.
it's hard to know. It's hard to know if it's finishing or like it says because it's like how do you know that? You know what I
Right.
mean? It's like if it's not there right now, then it did do something. It went away, but did it
Right.
process or not process? It's hard to know. Like I wouldn't make a conclusion about that. I would just stay open the next time it came and then
Look for the thoughts.
look for any thoughts or, like we talked about in the one-on-one the other night, like look at any thoughts that are coming from somewhere else that are telling you like the stories like you were talking about the other night. Um,
Right.
yeah, me and Jack did a late one-on-one the other night at like 9:45, which I can do sometimes, which I haven't put on the website, but um, I kind of enjoyed that because it was later and more relaxed, and the day was kind of over, and we were chilling and talking, and
Yeah, that
so
was nice. Thank you.
yeah, it was cool. And the
Yeah.
thing we're talking about is a Nova mask. There's an app called Luminate, which just came out with a mask called Nova, and it's like a relaxation mask, and it does like these lights inside the mask that are they look like EMDR lights kind of, and it's supposed to help people meditate who have trouble meditating, and it's supposed to, it like does all these visualizations and like it almost looks like psychedelics, but it's supposed to help you relax and meditate and get to like a still place. And so I got one just to try it out to see what it's like, and it was on sale. It's on sale right now, so that's why I bought it. And we'll see. Based on what he was telling me, I thought it'd be cool, and then I could see if it might help other people too.
Yeah, I've been finding it really helpful with sleep and stuff. Like if I'm
Yeah, yeah, it's supposed to
usually
help
I
with
need like
sleep
an
too.
yeah, there's like they got little sleep programs, and if I've kind of been blowing it, haven't like wound myself down at the end of the day, it can kind of just really help get me there.
Nice.
Um, there was one thing I noticed, which is during that mask, and I found like there's focusing on the thing, but then I don't know what I'm doing, but that can there's like an interference by my attention being there fully. But if I put like a little bit of my attention to something else, it seems like the minute I can like clue into music or something on the wall and still be aware, that is much more, a lot more happens to me. Like a lot more happens in my body.
Because
I
I
wonder,
think because you're not contracting, you're relaxing or non-grasping
right?
that situation there, and
Yeah,
you're
like
putting
that one
attention.
part of me that, yeah.
So try instead of doing that, try to just
Yeah.
spread the whole aperture out and include everything at once
Okay. Yeah.
instead of like just the thought and just like a light or a sound. Try to just
Right.
try to just spread back. Remember that thing I talked about where the attention is like about to hear and then you drop the attention even further back behind you.
Hmm.
You know what I'm talking
Yeah.
about? Yeah.
Yeah.
Just try that, try to include the like 360 degrees of attention, spread it out that way, and then let,
Okay.
let this happen. It'll also feel like you're giving the energy a wider pasture to move around in instead of what's happening right here.
Right.
What's happening right here? That
Yeah,
can feel
exactly.
contracting.
Okay.
I
Good to
think that
know.
would help. I think that would help you a lot too.
Yeah, thanks. Yeah, I
Yeah.
can't, yeah, my attention, once it notices that thing, it's just like, it
It does
gets
that
really on it.
also. That contracting attention will also invite thoughts about it.
Right.
Like, what is this? Or
Because I
like,
have,
it's like,
yeah.
is it processing and is it gonna finish or not? That kind of
Hmm.
stuff
Hmm.
can be. It's just feeling into
Yeah.
it and relaxing, and then just widen that attention and let it just rest there and see what happens. It might
Okay.
react. It
Perfect.
might react in the sense of like, oh, I can move around a little bit, and then it will start moving.
Hmm. Yeah, definitely. It's usually stomach sternum right
Yeah.
now.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Also, maybe start thinking of it as
Oh, yeah.
the
Not
the
stomach
full on
sternum.
awareness or the full on attention, and then the body is appearing in it instead of the energy is in the sternum or the stomach.
Right.
Start
Right.
seeing the body as an object in awareness, just like the cup or the sound. It's just like forms, shapes, and colors. And maybe that energy is not contained in the sternum or the stomach. And maybe that
Right.
will also make it move around or open up more and process or whatever it wants to do. Just play with it like that.
Okay. Yeah. That's great.
Yeah.
I I have a question, if that's okay. I always am interested hearing about Jack's experience because it sounds very energetic and like a lot going on in your body. Is that usually pretty universal at some point, or not necessarily? Like I never really get anything like that. Like I never feel like something's stuck here or something's moving
Yeah.
around. Like I have a really hard time like understanding that because like I don't ever feel that, and I don't know if I'm just repressing something or if it's just I don't know.
Some people are different with energy. Like, so, some people talk about the Kundalini energy and they make a huge deal out of that. And I remember years ago, I had one night of that was a lot of energy that came up and out and was doing all this stuff with colors in the room. And then after that, it never happened again. And I was still suffering for many years after that. So it didn't do it. It was just some sort of, it was like an energy release. And I have energy things that happen occasionally, like energy jerks, like with my arms or whatever, things like that will happen. But some people have a lot, and it's just I think it just depends on the conditions of the person. I know Jack, when we were talking the other night, he's like had some stuff where he's discovering a lot of repression, emotional repression. So and then on the retreat, he learned how to get in touch with that a little bit. And since the retreat, he's had a lot of that stuff coming up. So that may be why he's also, I told him to focus on that for a while as well because it's starting to come up to be dealt with and looked at now. And he's before it wasn't at all. So he may be going through just a period of time as well that's like, oh, I'm discovering this new stuff about my body. Like he wasn't aware of his body at all, like before that retreat.
Mm.
So it kind of exploded on him. And so that's why he talks about it a whole lot in the Zooms. But you can say something about that too, Jack, if you want.
Yeah, it's definitely like I noticing like and analyzing thoughts and like none of that really hones me in like the body stuff. The minute like the body started signaling in these new interesting ways, it was like okay, like this like immediately helps me get really present.
Mm.
I had a moment like at the end of the retreat after doing the TRE where for about like 4 days, every time I would lie down and meditate, like I would just start convulsing. And I was like, okay, like we'll just leave this be. But at one point, like I contracted everything super hard and then I let go. And then I was like gone in some other space with like drums in me. And then I was sitting in the dining hall and then that boundary where it's like there's the position I'm in, the thoughts are out here. I'm noticing that like my thoughts are just chittering away, doing their thing. But then I was noticing there's this drumming feeling in my body, but then that feeling went everywhere for like 10 or 15 minutes. And I was just sitting in the cafeteria, just like feeling the whole place as kind of, yeah, myself. Like everything was just pulsing out. And then since I've come back to like real life and going back to my apprenticeship, like there's just been a massive contraction. And so I just sort of am in the zone of just being like, oh, okay, like I just want to communicate with whatever's happening here and just let it just keep coming. And that's yeah. And then but yeah, just noticing that there is this sense that like it like hits a wall. And I can get a sense that like I'm like something's locking it down, but it's happening so instantaneously and so quickly and so automatically, like I don't even notice it happening. I just notice that it's happened. It's, yeah, that's so I'm at this point like I'm all body. I just wanna I just wanna get but like I can and I do know like when my face is pulsing that like I've jumped into my head. So like I know that that's an indicator that like I'm just thinking too much, and then it takes like a while for me to try and get out of my head and get back into the body. Yeah.
Hey, to just comment on that because I have a lot of body shakes and stuff like that. Wait, Tony, can you actually I can talk to Jack. Um, I oh wait, now I'm talking to Tony. I've had it every single day since last year, like every single day.
Nice.
And at some points it was like really, really intense where I'd have to like get up and like my body was moving and doing all kinds of weird shit. It was kind of freaky actually. Um, but I really relate to what Jack's saying about this kind of stuck feeling. Mine happens when I process, like not what mine happens when I lay down right now and I'm feeling emotion. So things just start happening in my body. My body starts to convulse almost, but it stops. Mine's up in my chest area and it feels like there's energy kind of pushing out, but it's pushing out against a wall. So it's just kind of this like stagnant, like feeling. It feels very intense physically. Um, even if
The wall is resistance or selfing.
Mhm.
I would have thought that, but it's like it could happen when I'm in like a really open place too. Like it feels like at this point there's not much I can do about it. I could relax completely mentally, physically, and I'm just kind of watching it happen. It's just like this pushing feeling. Um
Could
and
you ever do anything about it?
No, nope.
You're like getting to the point where I can't, you said, I'm getting to the point where there's nothing I can do about it.
I meant as far as relaxing, like
Yeah.
like breathing and relaxing and like letting my mind drop. It just I'm not sure what it is. I never have known what it is. I mean, Angela was the one that mentioned that it was Kundalini, so I was like, okay. I mean, you know, I have no idea what's going on, but it's happened pretty much, I could say, every single day, and,
Mhm.
and changed forms of intensities.
Yeah. I don't know a whole lot about Kundalini because, I came from Zen and, that kind of stuff. But my personal opinion is that Kundalini is made more of than it is. To me, it feels more like a spiritual thing, a spiritual term. And I'm not like a spiritual guy in that way. But I mean, I have experienced that energy. But also, to me, there's just nothing to do about it but accept it and let it do what it's doing. It's like, um, people can get into all kinds of ideas of like what that is and what you're supposed to do about it. But to me, it's all made up. It's like made up to me. Like, uh, saying your chakras, this and that. It's like, yeah, it might work to frame it that way, and that's fine if it does. But to me, that's like, it's still trying to control an uncontrollable thing. It's kind of like, oh, if I call it this and I do this and I move it, then I'm in control of it and I can direct it and now I can be the master of it. To me that feels still a little it feels a little subtle egoic there of like I'm going to do this and control this and um if you're dealing with that every day, I would say something like when it starts to happen, as best you can, pretend you're not even there and let it just be that empty looking that's not even involved because that's what you are, and let it move and let it do its thing. If it's blocking or it's something's coming up and you feel like it's pushing up against it, that's resistance in some form, whatever way that's showing up. Whether
Yeah.
maybe you're subtly afraid it's going to lead to that fear energy, like maybe that feels like it might be the beginning of it for you, and that doorway might lead, you know what I mean, like that could be something for you based on what you said to me before. But it could be anything, but it is some form of resistance because my experience now, when energy comes up or an emotion like comes up that needs to be felt, there's no resist. It's like it happens and it comes and it does what it does and it stays for as long as it stays and then it's gone. It's like I don't have the if there is, it's almost like being in alignment, and if you're out of alignment at all, you really know. It's like you really, really know. Like if you touch a burning stove, you're like, "Sah!" It's like if I'm out of alignment or resisting an emotion, I know immediately. Like I feel that. Like if there's a thought there that comes up that maybe I wasn't paying attention to or whatever, it's like I know it. And then I just don't touch it. It's like then I'm like back in alignment, non-grasping, hands off, and then it does its thing. And if it's coming up for you every day, there is a conceptual reason I think that is coming up like that in particular.
And I mean, it's moved too. Like it's moved to different like regions of my body. So maybe there's been some movement and something. I mean, I don't know. If I had to guess, it feels like it's pushing up like things that are kind of stored in my mind body. Like that's what it feels like. Um,
Mhm.
if like, I mean, just kind of like a weird thing, like to mention is at its like strangest point when it was like in really intense and my body started doing like really weird kind of contorting things. My hands started doing these really random movements. And that's when I asked Angela what it was. And when he said it was Kundalini and I looked it up, there's like something, and I knew nothing about this, but there was something called Kriyas. And my
Mhm.
hands did those movements before I even knew what they were, which is
Yeah.
kind of a random, strange thing. But now it's more of a like almost convulsion, seizure, like pushing feeling or experience.
Yeah.
So I'll just, yeah, I mean, we've talked about it before and I have just kind of relaxed into it and like to the point where I just didn't feel like I had no control over my body doing it. Not that I did anyways, but um and it's like I just kind of like stepped out of the room per se and let it do its thing. And it's still, I mean, it just does it. There's again nothing I can really do about it. It just happens.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It'd be like them fainting goats. You know what I mean? When they're running or laughing and they just can't control it. They just drop and fall over,
Yeah.
non-resistance.
Yeah.
Not that you should drop and fall over, but I mean, that's the idea. The frame, it's like a frame, the frame of what is this happening to me, this to Annie in my body, and it moves from this part to this part. Um, like if the reference point of view was not there, right? Would you be able to say something's moving from this point to this point? That's sort of like a deeper looking there. If that was removed, if that separate self belief was removed, would you even be able to say here to there? Because you need that reference point to say it's moving here to there. So if it's just consciousness, then that energy is just moving. It's just appearing in consciousness, and then the thought or the frame that you're taking it may be making you believe that it's stuck. You know what I mean? It's like a subtle point to make, but that's how powerful the beliefs are in the framing of our experience of being in the body. Like I told Jack, try to think of it like look at the body as an appearance in the objective world like everything else is, and then like that you're not in the body, that there's nobody in the body, that the body's appearing, and then the energy is also appearing, and then the way it's framed by the beliefs we have about the world frame it inside a certain way. So when you're working with this stuff, kind of play with that. It's like if I couldn't, like if just like you can imagine, you could visualize, you could do whatever you want, but you could say, if I could not move at all, what is there to do? Like if I couldn't move anything to grasp onto this thing, if I couldn't believe, if I didn't believe my thoughts about it at all and just let them come and go, because that's what you are. That's what I'm trying to get people to see directly is that you're not an objective experience. You're not the thoughts. You're not that energy. You are this thing, this vaporless, invisible thing that takes it all in and allows it to happen. And so if you can try to start looking at things that way more, you'll have less resistance to that because the resistance is like the selfing. It's like I'm going to control this or I don't like this resistance. It's like that's the movement of self. So when that comes up like that and you're like, why is it coming up every day? That's a thought. You're like, why is it coming up every day? Then the mind's trying to solve it, right? But that very trying to solve it may be why it's coming up every day.
I'll have to look and see if that's a thought. I mean, it's, and I hear what you're saying. And I'll try what you're saying and report back. But I'm not, I mean, at this point, I don't, it's almost so normal that I'm not like, oh no, here it goes again. It's just kind of, it's part of just what's happening.
Does it make you suffer at all? Or
No,
is it just, well, that's good.
mm-mm. No, I mean, okay, I take that. There's a caveat. When that pushing gets really intense and feels physical, it's physically painful almost, and that is uncomfortable. But besides
Mhm.
that, just the shaking and all of that, it doesn't cause suffering.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I would really try to be as hands off as possible and then watch whatever thoughts are coming up about it that are telling you what it is or what to do about it and try to let them go at the same time and return back to the non-grasping and just see what it does. Just watch what it does.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah. Somebody have their hand up? I thought somebody did. Thought I saw it flash up there.
Somebody did.
Was it you? Are you the culprit?
Was it? um, sorry. I don't know if I have a whole lot to add anymore, but the piece about um, the physical sensations and contractions and all of that, I'm just reminded of several years ago having what I described as like just a physical sensation, a tightness, a stuckness in like I'm a yoga teacher. I have a lot of yoga training. So I would have said the first chakra, right? And so I had a sense in that context, I gave that some meaning about what I thought it referred to, that it had particular meaning. And so I sort of um, had like an understanding or a story about what that meant, and therefore that it was something that needed to be resolved. You know, that it was like a fixation with a reason connected to a story, and that was something that needed to be improved, basically. And so every time I experienced that sensation, I kind of would do certain practices um, because I had an idea that that needed to be released up and out. And so, you know, if it was down there, then it was going to stay, you know, then it was, you know, it was stuck, and I needed to do everything I could to invite the energy up and out through the crown of the head. And the sensation would, to me, would really grow in intensity and almost feel like it's got to pop at some point, you know, like something has to happen. And when I realized that giving the sensation that meaning and saying that it represented all of that, I was just kind of adhering to this narrative about it, and therefore attaching to it and kind of um, amplifying it day after day, sit after sit. And when I recognized that I was putting all of that onto it, and I didn't need to do that, and let it be, like a couple things happened, like um realizing, like, you know, that I'm body mapping, and I'm having a thought about the map of my body, what I think that is, and therefore the location of that and what it's pressing on, and then the, like, the spiritual context of what that means, and therefore something else needed to happen, and none of those things, you know, those were all additional meanings that were being given to it. And dropping all of that kind of allowed it to just do its thing, and one, not be a problem, but also not have that stuck feeling of like this contraction has, something has to happen with it. um and occasionally I'll feel something similar again, and it's just kind of energy doing its thing, and um taking away the this happens in a time sense all the time. It's been happening continuously, and I need to do something about it, or this needs to happen in order for it to change. Like taking all of that away just removed the it just kind of removes the charge from it at all. Like I don't have a preference for or against preference for it. Um, and I think, Kara, when you were talking about I don't really experience these things, it's so interesting. Like I feel like the things that come up are just like the material that are here today. So it's like being like, oh, I'm not having a lot of these experiences. It's like, well, that's just not my curriculum for awakening right now. Like that's just not the what's on the menu, you know. And I remembered you said you were going to circling this very soon, and it's like, well, that's very like there's an intelligence to this process. Like if something is going to be felt, like maybe it'll come out there. Like something will happen when you do that, and maybe that'll be unlocking some sort of physical stuff, but maybe not, you know. um
Well, a lot of this stuff is like this is a real important point I want everybody to understand. A lot of this
yeah.
stuff most of the stuff is framed in how you frame it based on what you hear about various traditions and things. Like in Zen, there's none of this energy stuff just doesn't matter in Zen. Like they're like very direct and straight to the point, and like, and that's kind of where I come from, and sort of the way I talk about it. But like she said, but through yoga training and the way that's framed, she got all these concepts about how to deal with it and what to do and what it means and where it goes, and that's fine. It's just not, it's not the way that I talk about it, but it's fine. It's, I don't mean it's wrong. It's just another way of organizing reality. But what I want people to see is that before all of that is what you are, and then that way that reality gets organized is within you as consciousness. So it's fine. Like, okay, when she was talking about this, it reminded me of something funny. I've been to every Angelo retreat that he started in North Carolina. And like a year or two ago, there was a lot of energetics on one of the retreats, and people were flopping on the floor, rolling around, going all crazy, having all this stuff. And it was like a little bit of a problem. Like it was starting to be a little bit like it was getting rowdy. And so the next retreat, like I talked to Angela about it, like over recordings. And then the next retreat, see, Esho's like from Zen too. And Esho was like, come on, what are we doing? You know, it was sort of a little bit like that. And then Angelo made an announcement at the beginning of the retreat, like, if you have so and so and so, try to relax. Or he said something along the lines of, be mindful of other people in the retreat and try to relax. And then there was none. There was barely any of that on that retreat the whole week. So it was like, and I don't think you do. I don't think you're doing this at all, Annie, the way you talk about it. But some people will frame it in a way of, I have these kriyas and I do all this stuff. Therefore, I'm very spiritual. Therefore, now I'm an awakening. I am awakening, and I am on the path, and I am going to become this great being of kriya majesty. You know what I mean? There's like a documentary on HBO about the lady who started the yogic thing, and she did all this crooked stuff, and she was all about the kriyas and constantly talking about the kriyas, and all the people in the class were constantly screaming and yelling and kriyaing all over the place. And it's like, to me, it's just the way you frame things can influence how things are looked at. And if it works for you and it helps you process something, then that's great. But I just want you to be aware that you are prior to all of that. And it's not that you do that to become awakened, it's that you already are awakened. And any of the practices you do is already reality practicing a kriya, or sitting staring at a wall, or dancing, or tantra, or motorcycle racing, or buying groceries. It's like, to me, that's what's important, is trying to see directly what you are in the first place, which short circuits the path and short circuits the seeking, which is what I'm trying to do, because seeking is so creates so much suffering for people. But I thought that was really funny that when that happened, all that stuff just stopped. Because I saw people doing all kinds of like really crazy, and I was like, when I had the non-dual realization on that retreat I was on, I had extremely intense, uncomfortable energy get released, or whatever you want to call it, that just showed up from everywhere. And it was just pressing on me, is what it felt like. And it was extremely uncomfortable. And I was sitting there, and I had like this buzzing shaking. And there was a little, if somebody was really like beside me and was looking directly at me, they would probably see me like doing like this, like, just little shaking. But I didn't do backflips and fall out of the doorway. Or you know what I mean? It's like, I was like, it was so released, and I was so like what you just say, blown open or wide open, that I was dealing with that energy. And it lasted all night. Like I went to bed with that energy. And that happened at like 11:30 that morning. And I had that energy that whole day, that whole night, until the next day, nonstop. Like I couldn't sleep. I slept like 2 or 3 hours that night total. And there was nothing to be done about it. There was no strategy for me to go, oh, I need to fix this, or this energy is insane, or I need to fix this. It's kind of in the same way that when someone has a seizure in real life, like it has a problem and has a seizure, what are they doing? They can't fix it. They just have to accept it as it's happening. They don't have a choice. The body's doing what it's doing, and or the neurological path is doing what it's doing. And so when that happened to me on retreat, there was no strategy, and I didn't have thoughts. I had thoughts like this is uncomfortable, or like whoa, this is immense, and feels uncontainable. And then I realized like, oh, I'm uncontainable, and I just relaxed. And when I ungrasped that one thought, oh, this is not containable. Well, no shit, I'm not containable. Just saw, and then it was like free flowing. It was still intense and uncomfortable, but I wasn't contracting it down, and I wasn't trying to rope it in and control it and tell it what it was. It was just like, oh, what do you want to do here? Like, what are you doing? It was just like it was like it was the difference between being open and closed. So if you close down on the experience mentally in some frame in some way, you could try all kinds of strategies and da da da, but it really all always comes back to acceptance of what is. If that's what's happening, that's what's happening. So, you know,
I thought about that a lot too. It felt like he inserted a different view at the beginning of this last retreat where he said, the outward really loud screaming and jerking can be a distraction to those around you. So if that is happening a lot, we might ask you to step outside or go backstage or whatever it was. And then we saw a really different outcome
yeah.
throughout that week. And it just makes me think like how much belief is involved in, if there's not acceptance and openness going on, where's the belief? What are you believing about it, that this means this, or this needs to happen, or this should continue or it shouldn't, or whatever the case is. Like, and sometimes there are helpful beliefs like get up get up and take a walk. Like it, and the it was so obvious after those other earlier retreats that it started to be equated with I'm having an awakening if I'm really having ecstatic, movements and stuff like that, which isn't to say that they're wrong or that that doesn't happen. It's just the mind wants to close down so much and have a process for understanding. Like, I know how it is. It looks like this, you
And
know.
it's an achievement. It's like about achieving. It's about
Yeah, so
achieving.
I leveled up and now I'm
Yeah,
shaking
yeah.
all the
It's the
time. And
path. It's
again,
the
there's
path.
nothing wrong with the shaking. It's just it's like this can happen in any this is what's happening. Like, you know, my life situation, right? Like it's like this is exactly how it's happening, is the way that things are today. It's not I need to have these other experiences so that it happens. It's like it's only just here on the couch.
When I was fighting, before a fight, I would have all kinds of energy coming up in various ways, mixed of excitement and fear and energy and crazy. And then when I would start, it would change into this very strange energy that would be very open and like watching and fighting and doing the movements without thinking about it. And then afterwards, there would be this decompression energy of just, all kinds of crazy stuff. It's not spiritual. There was nothing spiritual about that. It was just like, whoa. And I'm sure all kinds of athletes and of different ways and even painters. I mean, you have all kinds of different, it's all spiritual, or you could say it's none of it is. It's like both. Life is spiritual, life is not spiritual. It's like it's just this miraculous unfolding thing that's mysterious, and that you could say that's spiritual, and it could be true in a certain way, but you could also say this is spiritual, and I'm in a spiritual program, and I'm a spiritual person, and I'm a light worker who's ascended from Venus, and I'm here to save everybody. You hear all the story, you see all the people create all these stories about, like, one teacher said she's like the second coming of Jesus Christ now, and I'm like, all right, calm down a little bit, calm down, take it easy. It's just like the mind can get in there so subtly and so quickly and grab on and reinforce something and tell you you're something, and that's how crazy stuff happens. That's how people get hurt. Um, you know. So I'm trying to always rip apart those conclusions and just get, you just live humbly and openly, and you don't need any of that stuff. That stuff is a story, a spiritual story, you know?
Hey, just for clarity purposes, like when this originally happened, like there was nothing really spiritual about it. Like I didn't even know about it. I just thought it was physical. I just went to the doctor and was like, "Hey, I'm having a problem." You
It
know,
could be, and it could be that. Yeah,
like,
it could be a
I mean, it's taken so many forms this year that I guess intuitively, I'm like, no, it's just something that's happening. You know,
mm,
just what for whatever reason. And if like you take any spiritual, I didn't even know about like Kundalini ascension or any of that stuff or energy. Like, it was more to me. It's like, okay, maybe this is a belief, but it feels more like trauma release. Like there's something like I have a lot of trauma. Maybe my body just is can only handle so much at once when I'm processing, and it just has to do a weird move. I don't really know.
you don't know.
Yeah,
The mind will create a story to get you to accept it.
yeah.
Maybe I'm just taking it a little at the time. Maybe that's true, but maybe you have no idea if that's true either. But what you can do is in immediacy, you can accept whatever's coming up right now, whatever it is. And you really don't need to go further than that. You don't need to. The mind does it all the time. It goes back to the past and goes, I remember when this happened and I did this and this was, da da da. Or it goes, I wonder how long this is going to last, blah, blah, blah. But all of that's happening in this, all of that story is happening in this infinite field right now that you are. And then that energy is coming up now or it isn't. And, it could be, it may not come up for Kara at all because Kara has a set of conditions of beliefs about the world and about reality and how she grew up and blah 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 blah, and you got your own, and whatever that is may make some of that come up. And then Jack had a experience on the retreat, and he has the blockness of like I've always lived in my head and I don't experience it, and then all of a sudden I did this TRE and it opened up. It's a body movement. Boom! There's a lot of stuff going on. Oh, what is it? I got to figure it out. I got to do something about it. It's like you don't have to do anything about it. Just be with it. Be accepting of it right now. Total acceptance of what is, and it will do its thing. And one day something like that will kill you. It will kill your body and mind, and the conditions will separate and become something else. But that field that you are, that empty Rikpa, is there from the beginning, before the birth and after death, and in between with all the stuff that happens in between. And so that's what I try to point and get people to look at. Joanna.
Hi, Tony. Nice
Hi.
to see everybody. I have similar experiences to this, everything that you've been talking about. I also had some type of a maybe that post happening, I would call an Kundalini energy, whatever thing. Maybe I think end of last year at some point, but it didn't like last very long. It was just for a couple of days, maybe 2 or 3 weeks. I thought it was really nice, and I was kind of sad that it stopped. I thought it was very cool. But yeah, but just sharing what you said about like as soon as the instruction from the teacher changes, like the experiences that people have change. Um, I'm part of like a local spiritual community here, and the teacher also said at some point, you look, if your experience looks the way everybody else's looks, then it's not your experience.
Right.
And
Yeah.
then it completely takes away your wish or ability to like copy or like fit in or make meaning of the stuff. There's nothing left than just exploring what actually is your own experience. And personally, I had the same thing like in the process that we do initially. Like I was shaking a whole bunch, and I was like having all these big physical movements, which then later on I realized were kind of just like my mind thinking that it was all really weird and like not understanding it, then somehow magnifying it in a way like, oh, this is probably important, so I'm like gonna do it a lot or something like that. It was a really like afterwards, after the fact, when he was like, look, you don't need to make a big scene out of this. You can just do whatever you gotta do and let the rest, just like be. I was like, oh, that's true. There's like a whole bunch of like, for me, there was a lot of, oh, this means something.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
I don't know what it is, but it means something. It must be
That's
really
the
important.
that's the coming from the self view. It must mean
Exactly.
something for me. I am
Yeah.
ascending, or I'm becoming this great master, or I'm just on the precipice, so close to this big experience happening that's gonna
Which
make
is
me
exactly what
great or whatever.
separates you from the actual thing that's happening
Yeah.
and kind of cuts all of your ability of being there.
Hmm.
So yeah, that was definitely like that was my story for sure. Like this is like hard and so meaningful and like it's something. Even like I didn't know what it was. My mind didn't know what it was. So it didn't like give any specific name, but it was like it is something for sure. Right?
Mhm.
So I made it into this huge thing. And like after the teacher pointed it out, I was like, oh yeah. And then I immediately relaxed, and there is still whatever movement or whatever you do. I mean, all the movements are movements. Like washing the dishes is a movement. Like there are movements that are true movements.
Yeah.
Some movements always happen.
It's
Some of them are
mysterious.
very
I listened to a
coffee.
podcast one time, and I was listening to some podcast, and I think it was no, 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 it wasn't podcast. I was listening to the audiobook Perfect Brilliant Stillness.
Mm-hmm.
And there was one sentence in that book that I heard on the audio, and Terrence
Mm-hmm.
Stamp narrated it, which makes it awesome. Um, and I heard one sentence, and it wasn't a particularly deep sentence. A book has a lot of great stuff in it, but the sentence I heard, but it was just the way the mind put it together in that moment. And it felt like this drop of energy fell, is what the way I would describe it is. In my experience, it felt like this super hot, powerful drip of energy fell and went. It's like when a hot thing like grease hits stove, and it was like tss. And when it did that, I felt this explosion of energy come up, and I felt fantastic for like the next 3 weeks. Like I felt I mean, I just felt amazing. I have no idea why that happened, just from that silly sentence. I don't know. I still don't know. And I felt great for 3 weeks, and eventually it faded and turned into other stuff. And it's like I don't know. It's like, but you know, it's a
Yeah.
mystery. This is a mystery for sure. But
Yeah.
luckily, you are the mystery, so it's okay. And the more, like, if you're in a room with people and you're doing the same thing, I mean, obviously if you're doing something as a class, of course you're doing the same thing, but if you feel like something like this is the way and the one true way and you're all doing it, there's a lot of framework and belief going on there about what this is supposed to look like. And that's one of the things after the Anata realization and realizing that I was that field of neutrality, that Rigpa, and then I saw the organization of my personality for what it was. That was like real authenticity of like, oh, this is perfection, but this dude who's appearing is not perfect. It is just an organization, and it can change, and that's okay. And he doesn't have to get everything right. Before, it's like, oh, I've got to fix this. I've got to transcend this. I've got to become a better person. I've got to do all this stuff. It's like when you see the greater reality, what you are, and then that subset of the characteristics or the action figure or whatever appearing in that, it's like a relaxation and non-grasping about the character itself. It's much more authentic, and it's much more like, oh, I'm going to be the way that I want to be, or I'm going to be this. It's kind of a paradox too, of like, oh, the character just disappears, and then he's, gone forever. It's like, no, it reappears, but it's like it's not solid. It's not an independent, it's not separate from reality. And it can be enjoyed for what it is, and it can be improved. So it's almost like you see that the things that make you up as a person are perfection. They are reality. And also reality is continuously appearing as different things and changing and moving and da 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 da. And you may not be perfect. You may have these beliefs that hold you back. So now you can look at them, but you also know that you're this other thing that's greater than any belief. And so there's like a relaxation and a non-grasping there as you continue on with life. And then, I can go deeper with that forever. And I will. There will be no end to that. And that's humbling because it's like, woo, I don't know anything. Um, so, but it's more and more authenticity. You just become more and more authentic, and your way of reality appearing as you is a unique mixture, unique cocktail of these experience or these conditions, and that's cool. And everybody has that. Every single person on here has that. The same thing appearing as this unique cocktail of conditions. And then they have this group and it comes together and with all these mixtures, everybody's got their own mixture and it mixes in with everybody else's. And then we have this super cool group and people are helping each other. And that's cool, man. That's life. That's awesome. I mean, and look at Iran. Like, look at all the stuff that's happened for the last, what, 40 years. And that hard line belief took over and changed Iran to this really contracted, horrible place that's like pressing down on its citizens and doing all this stuff. And now, like, he's dead, and they have a chance to maybe change that to be like what they were in, like, what was it, the 50s before all that took over. And it's like this is a very crazy time for them of like dynamic energy exchange and change, and the conditions have exploded for whatever reason. They've exploded, and that belief could still coalesce back into a more hardline government, and they could be, or the people that are out in the streets that are cheering and are like, no, not again. Maybe they have enough momentum there energetically to push it into a different type of government. It's like literally ongoing right now as we're talking. It's crazy. It's crazy to watch. But make no mistake, that what that is right there, that's belief systems operating in real time. And their belief system has exploded. And now it's like, what's going to take its place? More of that or something different? And it's like, whoa, it's crazy. It's crazy to watch.
Oh, sorry, go ahead.
Whoever.
Oh,
Whoever.
I never know where the raise hand thing is, so it'd be
I don't
great.
know where it is either, to be
Literally,
honest. I have no idea.
literally raising my hand. Yeah. I just want to go back to something that you said a minute ago, which is the wonderful feeling that you have when you say, I don't know, like when you really just drop in, it's such a relief. And my sort of backstory with all of this path was Course in Miracles, and I've I've evolved a lot since then, and a lot of different paths, all of which kind of converge in the same understandings. But there's some core tenets from that. I don't know what anything means. I don't know what anything is for. This thought is meaningless. I've given the world all the meaning it has. Like that kind of core, like when you actually start living it day to day, it's really just like the contraction just stops, when you say, I just don't know. And then I find the challenge is like being in a very high demand life and needing to have details and explanations and all that cognitive level of stuff when all I really want to do is go, I don't know. I don't know anything, and it's really hard. I find toggling back and forth between what gives actual relief and what the demands of day to day are. But that's just the period of life that I'm in right now, this super intense day to day life, coupled with this complete unbinding going on at the same time. So,
Yeah. But that's an awesome statement. And then, like you said, and I don't know is so relieving. And then somebody could look at I don't know as nihilistic or like scary. But
Nope.
you
Not
could
what it
say I
feels
don't
like.
know. You
Yeah.
could say I don't know. I don't know is like, oh, I don't know what's next, or it's like fear based, or it's like what. But you could also be like potential. You could also look at that as potential. If you're closing on something, the potential is now become something, and it can't be other things. If
Yes.
you look at it from potential or I don't know, and no conclusions, then it can go in any direction in any moment. And that's the miraculous energy of life. It's like any moment it could be that way. Um, and that's the view after a realization because you're viewing it from what I'd say is reality's eyes. So from reality's eyes, you could be in that highly charged environment you're talking about, making quick decisions, but you can move the view or the non-view from reality's eyes. That that craziness you're talking about at work is reality appearing as that. So you
Yeah.
know that. So
Yeah.
then it's cool. It could get stressful and it could be whatever. But when you have that realization, you change or you realize that you are that. It's a lot less grasping and it's a lot, to the degree of the depth of realization or whatever, and the more it gets worked on and sat with, you could be in that environment doing that crazy stuff and be very at peace and still, even in the midst of the craziness.
Yeah, you're
Enjoying
really,
it because you're like, I am this. This is awesome. This is crazy. This is consciousness operating in some, you know what I mean? This
yeah.
like back to the Iran thing. Think about if you're like an Iranian woman right now and you're in the street and you're protesting and you're cheering because that guy's dead and things may be changing and now maybe you can take your burqa off and they can't kill you or stone you for having an opinion. And you like just think about the mix of the energy in that moment of being out in that street and you're in this wide open space and there's a part of you that's really fearful because you're like, I may this could maybe it doesn't go that way and maybe I backfire. But the potential is there right now for something to be different and they haven't had that in 40 years. And now they're in the streets and they're all cheering and they're all moving and doing it. And you can watch it on TV right now. It's happening all the time right now. So she's got a mix of fear and exhilaration and hope and a high energy and like they're screaming and they're dancing and they're doing all this stuff. What is that? That's a release of energy. That's a release of a belief of like a idea of I'm stuck under this regime. And so she has a mixture of all of that, fear, excitement, possibilities, and it's potential. It's like pure potential right there. Where it goes, I don't know, but it's like just think about the energy of that. That's what creates mobs that are bad or good. Um, it's this unconditioned potential that allows everything to happen. Yeah.
Yeah, totally. I think the reflecting back, because I'm just coming out of 2 months that was so incredibly intense that it really, surrender was really the only option because and sometimes life just gifts you with that, and it's also relieving to see that as a gift and not a burden. And I use the word toggle, but there's a little bit of toggling back and forth with old victim lines of, oh, I'm so buried, I'm so this, and life is just so out of control. But this time, I went through that and I didn't really believe that. Like it was something that was habit that I was saying, because I could really see the beauty of there's so much coming at this person that all one could do was just give yourself over to it. So it's easy to, of course, look at in retrospect, and retrospect is arbitrary, of course. There's no retrospect, but and say, oh, now the grass is greener because I don't know, I've come through it and whatever, but it's hard when you're going through it. But that's the truth that's sitting right now. So back to your example of like the woman in Iran, there's something that it's so overwhelming that you just have to give yourself over to it, and then the truth just comes forward.
Hmm.
right? It's like feeling that and seeing that and experiencing that is what it's all about. It's engaging with the mystery.
Hmm. Yeah. The truth comes forward in a way, but you could also say if you like you realize you are the truth and everything comes from that
Mhm.
outward in the objective world. And
Yeah,
the and it's very powerful and you realize the power of it, but it's not your power. It's like the perfect setup because if the ego or the algorithm tries to claim it power as its own power, it immediately can't.
yeah,
But if you're not grasping, the power's there.
exactly.
And it's weird. It's weird. It's a weird paradox, but you absolutely cannot grasp that. Any grasping is a distortion or a delusion. And that's why it's so humbling too, because it's like, whoa, this is immense power, but it's not mine. It's not Tony's, It's like I just have to go with it. And it's like that's what it's like you get surrendered by realizing that. You don't surrender as Tony or Elaine. You realize it and it unclenches, ungrasps. And then like some people have, stage 4 cancer, some people have their partner die, some people have a giant car accident, near death experience, whatever. And then that makes them ungrasp or they makes them go, I am not in control here. And they have that instinctual like, oh, and it makes them surrender like all this illusion. So what we're that could be giant experiences that could be major like shifting. So what we're doing here is we're trying to do it in bits. We're trying to release and ungrasp, see the ungrasping in bits, to do it more in our regular life, to live more normally without having to have those giant experiences that can slam us into the unknown. We're trying to step in the unknown purposely, if you want to call it that.
Yeah. Mhm.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Sean.
I think Baron was maybe going to say something before me.
Oh yeah, Byron. Yeah, that's right. Sorry. Go ahead, Byron.
Well, no, I was just I was going to kind of go back to your conversation with Jack, and then I kind of touched base with you about this, earlier in the week about I guess I'm a little confused about, when I feel that, contraction or that fear, yeah, I mean, there is, it's, the still working on, trying to just accept that and let that just, be here and not have an expectation about it of, when it's going to go away and is it even bad? Is there even an I here to like experience that? But I guess, part of what I've tried to do is just like stay in that discomfort, like really go into it. But then, and then we talked about, the Daniel Ingram video about, spreading your aperture out. So I guess my confusion is, you know, I mean, I feel like I want to just stay in that discomfort, no matter how uncomfortable it is. Um, but then should your attention go more out, kind of like you were talking about with Jack? Does that make sense what I'm asking? It's like, do I just stay focused on that feeling? But then I guess you also said that doing that sometimes you can get thought wrapped around that if you're just staying with that sensation or that contraction versus, trying to look out and then paying attention to, other senses or other sensations that are going on
Yeah.
at the same time.
It's just a practice either way. Like you just do it either way. There is a contraction. There is a contraction to looking at a sensation real closely. You are contracting attention down around it. And that's a strategy to try to isolate it. Like you're trying to block other stuff out and go into the actual sensation of whatever your uncomfortable feeling is. Or you can the hands-off approach that I talk about is more like it's like I was talking about with Annie. It's like you're disappearing from the experience and just letting it be like so like right now you're looking out of the screen at me or everybody or whatever. So you have you have the sensations you're feeling like you're seeing form shapes and colors, you're hearing my voice. You got your hands on a chair or your lap or whatever you got. So let's say there's an uncomfortable sensation that comes up right now, or a thought, or whatever. So as you're looking, if you notice, it's sort of like that video I did, the noticer in the field, is if you're noticing any thought that's coming up that's uncomfortable about the path or about yourself, or a sensation that's coming up with it, that's an uncomfortable sensation. So you can concentrate and drill down on that, or you can sit there and notice what's not there, but is taking it in. So if you do that right now, what's taking all this in as an object, including your body, including everything you're looking at, everything you hear, the thought that's coming up, my voice as a sound. There's something there that is there, but isn't in the objective world, is not in all the stuff I just said. But it's there taking it all in right now. It's invisible. It's almost like a vapor. It's like you know it's there, but you can't find it. You can't see it, can't smell it. It's just sort of like it's there. And it's able to take all of this stuff in. And it doesn't need a path. It doesn't need to fix anything. It doesn't need anything explained. It doesn't need to go anywhere. Any thought that happens, it doesn't need to follow, no matter what kind of thought it is, a doubt thought or any thought about the path. Doesn't need to do any of that. It is literally the power that's here that's taking all of this stuff in without being any of it. It's like, can you kind of sense that right now?
Oh, I sense that for sure. Oh yeah.
Okay.
I mean, I think there are times though when that sense is very small because the attention, or your attention goes to other
It's not even,
things that,
it's not small. It's like not there.
yeah.
It's not there, but I don't mean it the way you mean it. I mean, it's not there in the sense of it's not a part of the objective world. It is what allows it to exist. And that's what you actually are. And when you go into that mind movement of this emotion is bothering me, you're having a thought about that. So what I'm trying to get you to see is there's something there. You could say prior to, but it's not even just prior. It's weaved in and out through all of this stuff. But it's like it's you could just say it's there, but it's invisible. It's that potential that I was talking about that allows anything to happen. And it's like right now, okay, just throw all that out right now and just concentrate on my voice talking. You can even close your eyes if you want to. So I'm talking to you about this. Notice that my voice arises in this vapor. As I'm talking to you, notice that my voice is arising in this vapor. As I'm talking, it's going away. As I'm speaking, it's already leaving. It's one continuous movement. It seems like it's appearing, but is it appearing solidly or is it appearing and leaving as soon as it's appearing? You can't hold on to my voice whatsoever as a sound. The sound comes up and it's disappearing as it's appearing. So it's doing that within something, within this field. Every sensation is like this voice, but it's coming up and it's disappearing. You cannot locate it. You cannot grab it. You can't catch it at the beginning. You can't catch it at the end. It is literally like an appearance. And there's a neutral potential field that this sound appearance is appearing in that's allowing it to happen. That's what you actually are. Not any sound or thought about Byron. The thought about Byron and his path, or if he's behind or if he's having trouble at work, it's all appearing in this invisible vapor that you actually are. All of life is. And that's what I'm always pointing to try to get people to see directly. It's a direct realization like, oh, I am this thing that's not in the objective world. I am not an object in the world. I am this lone subject. And then when you have a realization, the subject disappears and the object disappears And then there's an arising appearance of sound, touch, taste, colors, consciousness, thoughts, whatever, appearing and leaving as soon as it gets there. So it's empty because it's not separate from the field and it's not solid and staying. That's what the objective world is. It's like an appearance that can't stay. It's just appearing in this field that you are. So Byron arises in that field too. And when he goes to sleep at night, Byron disappears in that field, but that field is still there. So if you see that directly, how much less grasping, how much less suffering is there? Because you're like, whoa, I'm not that little thing that thinks he's far behind Kara or not going on the path. I'm not. I'm always this fucking field. There is no fucking path. I am this field and so is Kara. We're not anywhere. She's not ahead of me. I'm not ahead of her or behind her. We're both this thing appearing in the field. We are the field. And everything that appears in it is just an appearance. So there's nothing to be afraid of. There's nothing to fear. There's nothing to feel like you're behind or ahead. There's nothing to achieve. There's just what's appearing, whether it's your job and the next intensity of the job. And then there's thoughts about it. But the glue that makes you think that there's something there that needs to be done or that's behind is that selfing, that identification with the thought. When I have my sound and then I talk to you in the field, you go, I hate his southern accent. I wish he'd shut the fuck up. That's a thought you're having about the sound appearing in the field, right? But if you identify with that thought afterwards, there's an identification and you believe something about me, you believe something about life, believe something about yourself, whatever it is. But if you don't grab onto that thought, whatever it is, or doubt thought, if you have a thought about my stupid accent or you have a thought about I'm not further on the path as a doubt, if you see that for what it is, you don't do anything about it. You just see that thought for what it is. Oh, that's a thought. That's a doubt thought. You're seeing from reality's eyes, you're seeing from that field's eyes. You back up or you don't back up, but you see through reality's eyes. You notice that that's a doubt thought and you don't touch it. You just let it go. Why? Because it's as empty as my voice. It's appearing in this field that you are, this field of potential, and it has the potential to have a very confident thought or a very doubtful thought, and it allows all of it. But all that stuff you believe about the thoughts is just what's appearing in this thing that you actually are all the time. Yeah,
Thank you.
yeah. It's
Well, I'm from
fucking
Texas,
beautiful,
so I have
man.
that
You
Texan
see
or
it.
I have that Southern accent too. It just doesn't come out very much now.
I just like Alyssa makes fun of my southern accent, and I make fun of
Oh,
her
I have it
northern
if I go
accent.
there long enough. You can
Yeah.
just ask Kara.
Oh, she's got some strong Michigan going on there. I
Oh,
hear
it's strong. Oh, it's very
that.
strong.
Yeah, I hear myself on the recording sometimes or on the video, and I'd be like, "Oh man, I'm definitely from North Carolina." To my own internal coming out, I feel like I sound kind of neutral, but sometimes I'll hear it on video, and I'll have a little bit of
She says the
neutrality,
same
and
thing.
then all of a sudden it'll go, "Rah, rah, rah," and I'm like, "Oh God."
She says the same thing.
Yeah. Cool.
Thanks, Tony.
Yeah. John, you go ahead now.
All right. I want to do just kind of a quick check-in, make sure I'm not going off the rails. A lot of like rapid fire little things the last several days, uh, which has sort of seen very quickly how much stuff I didn't understand about my own operating is making it easy to just question everything. Um, concise version. Uh, I think it's this belief that I mentioned last time. It seemed like that or some flavor of that has gone really iteratively down of just I kept expecting things to be a certain way or be special or this, that, or whatever, which was just a way to expect things to be different from how they already are, which kind of blocked the possibility of, oh, this. Um, and then also, I don't know if it was that, and Sam visited and he kind of cracked things open as well. And so actually a huge amount of anxiety and like other stuff has been coming up the last few days. Um, But just touching on the relevant parts, um, it's being kind of right in my face of that emotion or whatever it is, like right here, sort of unavoidably, just looking at it and then finding like, oh, that this is actually underneath that, and this is actually underneath that. Um, and it's kind of landed at a point of, I would say, almost like, all the way down the chain of fear being perceived a certain way, and then that leads to abandonment and isolation, and all the way down to basically annihilation or some like deep sense of or fear of, yeah, annihilation, death, disappearance. And just today, actually, right before this, really sitting with that and landed on this very plain observation, kind of what you were just saying. There's literally nothing here findable that could die. It's if you try to look at like there's sensations, sounds, like all this stuff, which none of it is actually a separate thing anyway. Like none of it is persisting. Um, and there's nothing findable outside of it. But that doesn't cause, some special pop or whatever, but it just is the case. And so I guess the two questions or where I'm easily spinning myself into confusion are, well, that's not really a question, but that's just something that seems to be the way it is. But I guess the question is how to evaluate what to do if it's not coming from a place of fear or urgency, of sort of I'm realizing just how much of, especially regarding work and like life, how many actions are taken without knowing that they're coming from some place of fear or anxiety or something. And even as I'm saying this, it's kind of like, well, whatever's happening is happening, but it still feels disorienting or unsettling. That was very rapid fire, so I can circle back and clarify anything. Also, just had a bunch of caffeine, but yeah.
Um, well, that's when I talk about like seeing the closer you can see the belief operating as it's happening, the
Yeah.
more you can break that stuff down because it can be real subtle. It doesn't have to be a giant fear or, something that causes whatever. It could be a very small thing. And that's why I always talk about getting good at seeing your beliefs in action, seeing yourself, even catching yourself in the moment. That's that meta awareness of even speaking your beliefs or writing your beliefs. It's
Mm,
like that's what I catch people doing in the group, is why I like to point out because they'll write their beliefs when they're talking to me because then they're
hmm.
not so focused on themselves. They're just letting it roar. They're letting it go. And they're
Yeah.
telling me what their issue is. And I'll go, do you see that belief that you just said right there? It's like you'll say it just plain as day. And it doesn't have to
Yeah.
be a big belief, but it can definitely obscure
Yeah.
a giant, just like when Chris said a few weeks ago, he said, I always believed that thought was separate from awareness or thought was something different.
Right.
So that little belief had you know, an enormous effect on how he viewed practice and like what he thought he had to do, like he had to do something about thoughts so he could get back to awareness. And
Mhm.
it's like that can have a lot of ramifications for practice and for what you believe about the world and what thoughts
Mhm.
are and like what thoughts are made of and what they can do to you and how potent they are or not potent they are. It's like even that one belief can do a lot. So I don't know if that answers everything you're saying because you were pretty quick with what you're saying. But so just go back and break down any part of it you want, and we'll talk about it more.
Yeah, it's I mean, so that is helpful. And I was quick because it feels like it's bimodal. Either there's a quick version or I could talk for 2 hours. I don't want to do that. But it's, mm, I don't know. I guess the question is not exactly, oh, is this it in the sense of having figured it out? It's more of, yeah, maybe that's it. Maybe there's a belief that there's something else to be seen, or
When you're operating in the world or you're doing whatever in the small instances when it's not a lot of fear or a lot of whatever, maybe ask yourself, if you're in a certain situation, do I need to figure anything out about this?
No.
I mean, as it's happening.
Yeah,
And
well,
then
right,
you
I know
might,
I'm looking right now at like
yeah,
literally
yeah.
as we're
And
talking.
then asking that question, you might activate a belief in you that comes up as a thought right then. Like, do I have to do anything about this? Do I have to figure anything about this situation out or this problem at the moment?
Maybe, okay, yeah, this might be it's getting closer to it. At any point now, it seems like right now as we're talking, if attention is just on the pure experience that's here, whether or not there's thought about it. I mean, there's also thought here, but the part that's not thought, just like direct sounds, direct sensations, um, there's nothing to figure out about it. There's no way to control it. Like that question doesn't even map onto it, right? Like it's not this isn't something that that is figure outable. Uh, but there's an agitation about that. Like that doesn't feel like closure or like satisfying or equanimity. It's just more of just a kind of a restless, like, but then what to do? Like there's nothing to grab onto.
Mhm.
Um,
Do you have trouble like in the moment in everyday life when it's not like something terrible that did do you have trouble like because your mind is the type of mind in your job or whatever that you need to figure things out to solve
oh
problems.
yeah, yeah.
Do you have a problem in everyday life accepting what's happening in the moment?
If it's something that my mind feels like it can frame and understand, even if it doesn't like it, then there isn't the same sort of restlessness. This is something that's coming only from looking at, like, if dropping into presence, whether I'm stressed and anxious or feeling relaxed. Like that's, yeah, it's specifically a discomfort with this is not something that I can actually grab onto with thought, like with concepts or a frame. Like you were saying earlier, I can construct a frame around it, and the mind is constantly trying to do that. Like, oh, it's this or it's this way, and then that just falls apart because it's not actually.
And then the unknown happens and you get uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's like you're probably having you're probably having a moment where you're not accepting what you're feeling and
Okay.
then you're immediately trying to solve it.
Hmm, hmm.
Like you're in an unknown space of like, because if there's a problem there that's like something severe or something work related to chew on, the mind has something to solve. It's like, okay, I got to do this, I'm
Yeah.
going to do this, and I'm going
Yeah.
to do
Yeah.
this. But if that's not really there, as at least not in your face as hardcore, then you probably feel a lot of uncomfortable feelings you may not be aware of
Hmm,
I need something to control. I need something
hmm.
to tear into or something like that.
Yeah, that resonates, and for better and for worse, I think for better long term, that's now more visible more of the time,
Hmm.
right? Like regardless of what's actually going on, I might be distracted, but more and more if I'm not distracted or for whatever reason just pops into attention to let's just look here, right? Like not what I think is going on. That discomfort is always here if it's
Yeah.
looked at. Um,
Well, let me ask you, I don't think I got a chance to ask you, but could you tell me some sort of, you don't have to get too detailed if you don't want to, but some sort of generalized thing that you and Sam talked about in the way that brought up that emotion you had never felt before?
sure. And I wouldn't say it was an emotion I'd never felt before. Maybe I used those words. Um, I mean, it was from what came to mind in the moments were certain memories from childhood. I honestly don't know if they're completely accurate or not, or real or not. But what was, well, okay, I can answer your question if you want, but what feels more relevant is something that's happened more recently than that, which
Okay.
is just finding strong emotional resistance to something happening. I was out for a walk, say yesterday, and just anxiety, and then what's there? Okay, there's anger, fear. Um, and the thing that felt different or that was different is it wasn't as personal. Like it wasn't me. It's like, oh, there's just it could be just seen.
Mm,
Um, and then that actually caused some compassion to come up for that.
mm,
Sort of like, oh, that's innocent. But that could only be seen to be innocent when it wasn't seen as me. So with Sam, that kind of, I think, showed the system, or maybe like how that can happen mechanistically, because
Yeah.
there was this sort of framing of like, imagine the memory, imagine the small child. Um, and I think that was really helpful and instructive, but it seems like that framing might not even be necessary. It's more of just seeing like, the emotion can be here.
If you don't need it, it's all a frame to work with energy. You're
Mm,
taking energy and you're naming it things and making it
mm,
whatever story you need to tell around it to deal with it. That's
mm,
and
mhm.
they're fine. That's just strategies for working with. But I feel like with you there is a resistance to feeling, and the way Sam was
Mm.
talking about it helped you start to feel, and then you opened up and there was like an opening there and you were like, oh, I'm crying and I got a little
Yeah,
feeling
yeah,
going
yeah.
on.
Right. So
So
that's been happening a lot. Sorry.
yeah, well, that's because you're doing all this work in the group. I mean, the way you're talking about your beliefs in the group are very, very precise and
Mm.
very good. I didn't have a chance to respond to your last long one because I was at my
Oh,
mom's, but
no worries.
uh
I do it a lot to just process myself, and but
yeah, but that's great. That's what I want people to do. For one, it helps me help you, but it also lets everyone see that everybody's going through their own thing in their own way, and some of it's similar, and can be everybody can help each other. But um like if you don't need that framing, you might need a little shortcut into accepting and feeling in the moment instead of trying to figure it out or trying to like going up in your head about it and going on it. Maybe just like you could do like a quick framing of like if you have the anxiety come up and if you have a thought about something from your childhood or something more recent, you could bring that into like I was talking about the field, you could bring that into the field right now and let it and feel it and let it be what it is on your walk
right.
or sitting. You don't have to be sitting still practicing. You can
So
you can
this,
walk. You can walk like you're walking in the park. You can let your body show up in the objective world or show up in the field, and then that emotion or that energy could be coming up also in the field. But if you can
yeah,
take the view of the field and let that stuff happen, your body walks itself anyway. The
right.
energy's coming up anyway. If you can try, that's why I talk about like get look from empty looking or trying to look from reality's eyes. And that's automatic less grasping. It's automatic. I need to do something about this unknown. You are the unknown. And then you let it, you're letting it be there and
Okay.
being felt fully.
So this, if I'm understanding, words to words correctly, what you just described is, I think, what's been happening literally just in the last couple of days, but so it's sort of like from almost zero to almost 100 of it's just now, like I'm absolutely getting still distracted by thoughts and things at work, by people, but constantly in between, it just something just drops. And by drops, I mean, I want to say looking through reality eyes to just try to match to what I think you're pointing to. I don't know if,
When you're
words.
not getting distracted, you're dropping into the unknown.
Right. And what happens is a sense of the like actual felt sense of the realness of outside world, whatever I was thinking about, just kind of gone. And it's like the body often relaxes, but the emotion actually just intensifies. It's like, oh, this is just full volume right here. Um, and that part's actually fine. And it's kind of like yeah, strangely, it's completely fine. Like it might be an intense thing, it might be sad, fear, happy. What's throwing me off is this oscillation of all the very real practical responsibilities of, outside world, work, uh, social obligations, all of that. Excuse me. Versus then when that drops, it's gone. And then it's just, letting whatever's here be here, which also seems fine. But then there's no urgency to manage or deal with whatever those thoughts about obligations were. And that's disorienting because on either side of that, it feels like, oh no, it really is important to be thinking about life.
Mhm.
and then drop into presence. Oh, that was all thought. Oh, that was just trying to manage or deflect attention away from feeling this. Let me feel this, and then that just
Well,
immediately goes
it
deep.
is distraction. It can be distraction, but it also could be what's needed. I mean, if you're at work,
Mhm.
you can't be feeling things all day long. You have to work. You have to do stuff.
Yeah.
But that work and that those thoughts that are appearing as you doing your work is reality appearing as this. It's the unconditioned appearing as conditioned of,
hmm
Sean needs to work. Sean's doing work. This is da 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 da. It's like, but like what Byron was talking about, the Daniel Ingram exercise too, is like while you're doing your work, you can also expand your attention out and try to take more in as a practice when you're doing that work. And then when you're, on your walk, when you're on your walk, I'm on a walk right now. I don't have to think about work because it's not right
hmm
in front of me. And that sounds like that's what you do because then you say the stuff rushes in. What specifically was it yesterday? You said you were walking and you had anxiety. Is that what you said?
Yeah, just like a lot of work deadlines and time
Work
pressure and
deadline.
stuff.
So you were thinking about work and then you were having the sensations come up.
Initially, and then that it for whatever, attention thought like, oh, let's actually look at what that is. And then I was, okay, there's anxiety. And if it's useful, I can describe kind of the chain. It happened pretty quickly of just,
Okay,
uh,
okay. Are you looking at it and going, okay, that's anxiety?
no,
Are
this is all
you
I have to
are
put into
you
words now.
feeling are you feeling that actual energy and dropping the label anxiety? Are
Yeah.
you
So when
able
it's
to go into
happening,
that?
there's few to any words. It's just pure feeling, which is why it can
Okay.
happen a lot faster than the time it would take me to tell you now.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So this is me having to put it into words to communicate it.
Right. Okay, good.
Um, but very important to check. But yeah, I do think I
Yeah,
know
because
what
some
you
people
mean.
will label it and they don't
Yeah.
feel it. They'll just label it and go, I know my emotions because that's it's
Right.
anxiety I'm feeling. They're not feeling anything at all. Some
Yeah.
people do that.
And I think I have been very guilty of that and still can. Um, but I think that's the thing that I sort of realized this last week or two, however long it's been. So I'm still talking about it that way, but no, it's very specifically not that. It's like, oh, this is what's actually here and right now to talk to you. I'm applying whatever labels feel relevant to just convey it. Um,
Mhm.
but I actually forgot what the question was.
Me too. Uh,
Yeah.
so you don't have any trouble feeling when you need to feel when it comes up.
No, now it's like fire hose. That's the pro or not the problem, but um it's really loud. Uh
Yeah. Well, I think what you're saying is that there's just there's just a there's just a getting used to this new this new fire hose.
mm,
You're kind of in a transition of you're always thinking with your head and now you're starting to feel and it's
mhm,
probably confusing and da da da. A practice that I did with Alyssa when I first started working with her was drop down into aliveness. Is when you're
mhm,
walking around and you're doing your job or you're just doing whatever you're doing, try to know any thought that you start to have that feels it doesn't have to feel stressful, but it could just feel, something that's grabbing you, whatever it is. Even if it's like, well, I'm going to eat lunch. I got to know what I got to eat lunch today. But try to drain your attention down your face through your throat and spread it out into awareness. Try to notice the aliveness that's that is you. That is consciousness. That's I would say like when I was talking to Byron about it being the empty potential. So
mhm,
within that empty potential, there's also all these energies of aliveness, of being. You could call it being. So like a being energy. And you're used to going straight to your head to solve things, or you're used to looking straight into the thought loop to
mhm,
solve things. So now you're starting to feel the energies directly, and they're oscillating you back and forth probably pretty hard the way you're talking about it. So as a practice, if you can, as you're doing it all day long, try to drain your attention down and spread it out into the open ocean of consciousness of aliveness. You'll feel it. It's energetic. You'll feel the floating energy of everything. And I know it sounds weird, but
No, yeah.
when you do that, you're also spreading attention out to take more in and noticing the energy. You're kind of noticing that everything's made up of energy then at that point, and that
Yeah,
helps. Go ahead.
I was gonna say maybe then here's a very concrete belief. You can end on this, or for me, it just where I don't know how to question it either way. It's kind of the same thing of what you're describing, that will happen, and then what is happening often, and it's kind of been surprising how quickly it feels like this default tendency has flipped. It comes into, I forget the words you used, but just aliveness, presence, the words, I don't want to put emphasis on the words, uh, and specifically away from thought. Maybe that's the relevant thing is I'm seeing now very quickly, disorientingly quickly, there's a tendency now to not turn to thought, but specifically to turn to this.
Good.
But here's the belief is I don't know if that's okay
There you go.
because I'm so used to thoughts.
That's the belief. Yes, that's what I'm talking about. What I was talking about at the
Mhm.
beginning. You're seeing that belief in action in the moment, and that is a belief for you. Is it
Mhm.
okay to not go to thought all the
Yeah, no,
time?
that is yeah, right.
Yeah. So you know that that's what you need to work with specifically right now.
Okay.
So whenever you have a thought, whenever you go to thought, automatically drop down in aliveness, feel whatever's being felt right in. It doesn't have to be like an energy in the body. Just feel the
Yeah.
overall energetic current of existence. You know
Yeah,
what I
it's
mean?
kind of it's this two-step almost of instead of going to thought, I am going, and it's not a choice, right? It's just like, the system is or algorithm is bringing out like the 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 bid for attention or acceptance or whatever it is that I actually wanted and that I was trying to control with thought, that can be
Mhm.
found here. So we're just going to go straight there. That's step one. But then step two is this belief coming in like, whoa, is that okay to do? We didn't check in with thought at all. What if we need to think about this?
A very quick thing you could say is when you have a thought come up and it's grabbing you, say, flip from the thought to the field. So you're flipping from the small aperture to the wider aperture immediately. Boom,
Okay.
I'm out here.
Yeah,
If you
yeah.
know how to do it, boom, flip to the wide open field of alive energy. And then question that belief in that field.
Hmm.
Do I need to go to thought to solve
Okay.
this?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Or
That's the
because
thing.
thought is the main grabber of you right now, right? So
Hmm.
so when you have this realization more that you're the field, thoughts become they're there, but they feel like it's like when you have a white carpet and a tiny black dot stain on it. You focus on the black dot.
Yeah.
So after you notice the white carpet, the black dot will still appear, but it's like way over here and it's very tiny.
Hmm.
And it doesn't feel important. It feels like a part of experience, just like a sound does.
Yeah.
But thought now you're like, you're evening, like this is what I was talking about before. Like afterwards, thought becomes equalized with the other sensations instead of becoming I'm 90% important and all this other stuff is not a not something you need to look at. You're starting
Yeah.
to see that that doesn't have to be the case. You're sensing this other field, these emotions are coming up. So now work with that belief directly, even for like
Okay.
the whole week this week.
Yeah,
Make that
yeah.
your main focus because you know that's a belief that's there. So you
Hmm.
know that's where your attention should go and
Hmm.
dismantle that belief like this week or as long as it takes. But
Sure.
as your practice, focus on that belief because now that you know the belief is there, now you can break it apart.
Yeah.
You
Okay.
can see, like, ask yourself, this thought's coming up. It's like, do I have to do that? Or can I stay in
Mhm.
this field and a thought will flicker and say, you know, Sean hit escape, blah blah blah, and that'll solve
Yeah.
your problem, your folder, whatever you. I don't even know,
No,
but I'm
no,
just saying,
that's
like,
yeah.
just like whatever, whatever. John's being a dickhead in the Discord. Do I need to pay attention to that? It's like it's like gone. It's there and it's gone. Just like I was talking about with Byron. The thought is an appearance and it's coming and it's already going before you can even grab it. It's literally
Yeah,
just an
yeah.
appearance, but it's happening in that field that you are. So flip it to the field really fast. Shoom. You don't have to at work, you don't have to take a long time. Just
Hmm.
flip it. Just go shoom. I'm into the field. Boom, down, drop. Energetic ocean. And then still notice the thoughts. Use that Ingram video too. I'm basically talking about the same thing in a different way. But notice those thoughts and notice that they're not here now. They're
Yeah, yeah,
more
yeah.
flickering.
And that it's okay that they're not here. That's the thing. Like
Yeah,
it
yeah.
feels there's such a vacuum of, oh no, I thought the thoughts had to.
The only
Yeah,
reason they feel like they're here is because your attention
yeah, yeah,
is conditioned to make them the important thing. Because you think that they're you, that you hear the voice of you in those thoughts and you think they're you.
yeah. But it's yeah, it's just it's weird that it
But if you
feels like
start to drain, if you start to drag that attention, you're like pulling the tentacles of thought away
yeah,
and you're spreading it out and realizing I'm much more than thought. Then you start to see thought appearing in this other experience that you are. And then thought's less important. It's still helpful. It's still a tool. It still
yeah,
says, I need to be here at 11 o'clock for the Zoom or I'm going to miss it. I still see that thought. I still set an alarm for 10 to make sure I don't miss it and give myself time to do whatever I got to do. But it reminds me, whatever it is, you can use that as a tool, but as an identity, it can be so important that you feel like you have to trust it with every part of your experience. No matter
yes,
how many times it
that,
fucks you over and tells you the wrong thing, you continuously believe that it's, you know,
yeah,
that's why like when I had the little practice of like making it appear, frame it as a 16-year-old virtual assistant who can be helpful but also doesn't know a whole lot about
yeah,
what's
yeah. I
actually
really like
happening.
that.
See, that's not true. It's just a metaphor. But
Right.
if you frame something that way for a while you're looking at your thoughts, that can change your perspective of what you
Yeah,
think thoughts are. And that's all practices are for. Any practice, any inquiry is like you're framing something in a certain way to look at it and to try to pull apart what conclusions you've made
yeah.
about
Look at it this
reality.
way. Look at it this way. Look at it that way.
Yeah. But it's all happening in this thing, and this thing is the actual power. It's like an attention is like its sword. So if you
Hmm.
put the attention on something, but you could pull that attention away and make it broader from the field's view, you don't have to put it on thoughts. So
Yeah.
question that. Do I need to do that? Can I go an entire day today without doing that? Try that tomorrow at work, right?
Hmm.
Every time thought tries to grab. And of course it's hard. And of course we talk about it. It is hard because you're conditioned to do it. That's what conditioning is. So you
Hmm.
have to, it's like this. It's like a magnet. It pulls you, thought
Yeah.
loop pulls you. But if you get further and further away and you're looking, that magnetization weakens. And then it'll boom, and that's disidentification. And then it still appears out here, but it's not magnetizing you to attention. So work with that belief directly this week and then write in the group like Thursday or something about or whenever you want. But write in the group sometime this week what you're noticing and how it's going. Pay
Okay.
careful attention to that.
That is very
Do I
helpful. Thank
have
you.
to go to thought? Can I stay in this wide open aliveness? Thought can still show up, right? You're not disregarding thought. You're not
Right.
saying I'm not going to pay attention to
Yeah.
thought at all. It can still arise, but does it have to be the main event?
Right.
Yeah.
Is it safe to not give it the full attention that it thinks it needs?
Yeah. Is it safe to let thoughts come and go?
Hmm.
Period. Like without looking at them. You can notice a thought come and go and notice what the content is without grabbing it,
Hmm.
you know, because that is what's happening. But we believe that you're not, you believe that you need to look at it again. So maybe it comes back up and you get agitated about it and then more thoughts. Then you're in a thought reflection, you know, it could
Hmm.
be slightly different thoughts that mean the same thing. Then you're in a thought reflection, thought loop about it. Yeah. Try that. Fixate on that one belief and notice as you're doing that and you let go of that, notice the ungrasping that happens in your system as well. Really notice that.
Yeah.
So your mind can see, oh, if I don't grab, if I notice this clearly, it ungrabs. You don't ungrab. That belief
Right.
dismantling ungrabs by
Right.
itself. That's
Yeah.
the
The thought didn't
algorithm
have to do it.
changing.
Yeah. Yeah.
This field that I'm always talking about that you actually are, you don't got to worry about that. It's always taking everything in. That's what you are. It's not. It's all powerful. You can't fuck with it. Reality's undefeated. You cannot do anything. That is what you are. Everything else is the algorithm operating, creating experience, creating your view of thing, your view of life, the beliefs and the structures. So pinpointing that belief, you just now you know that's one of your belief structures. So when you
Hmm.
pull that Jenga piece and notice it really clearly, you're going to notice some energy move. You're going to notice a change in your fabric because that's what it is, like an energetic weaving fascia of fabric. And when you tug on that, you're going to notice it. And if you tug on it in a certain way with a belief, it could cause suffering. But the way you're doing it, you're seeing the suffering that's being created from following that thought. You're unplugging that belief and looking at it,
Hmm.
dismantling it, but also notice the effects it has when you release it. When you
Hmm.
let that idea go a little bit, and it's like you're trying a new belief on without totally getting rid of the old one yet.
Right. Yeah.
Like you don't have to
Yeah.
just rip it out and throw it away. Just pull it out and look at it and be like,
Hmm.
okay, if I don't operate with this for the day, what is my experience like? Does it change? Is it easier? Is there less suffering? There
Hmm.
is. The mind goes, oh, there is less suffering. So boom, I don't have to hold on to this. Algorithm reorganizes. Let's go. Maybe the belief drops away. Maybe it drops away halfway. Still operating, but you feel a little more freedom, a little more space, a little more
Hmm.
energy. Notice that difference. And in before long, in a month, 3 weeks to a month, maybe shorter, some beliefs drop away, boom, right away. This is making me suffer.
Hmm.
I'm dropping it. It just drops. You could do that. You could do that with anything. I mean, it's like crazy how quickly that can happen, you know? So, but that's cool. You identify that belief you have and you know that's a belief. Now work with it.
Yeah.
You don't have to handle every belief in the world. You don't have to fix the whole path. Just you identify that belief and it'll bring up other beliefs and you'll go, "Oh, I wonder about this then. If I always thought this, what about this?"
Hmm.
And that's the rolling tendencies. Rolling on, continuously changing the algorithm. But it's not Sean going, I'm going to change my algorithm. It's just seeing what it's made of. It's not
Hmm.
working. It's not skillful. Oh, this is better. This is more freedom. This is skillful. Boom, it drops, changes, moves the landscape a little. Life is a little bit easier in that way. Yeah. So definitely try that and let us know how it's going because I want to know. We could keep working with
Thank
it.
you.
Yeah. Uh, yeah. Joanna again.
I think you're muted.
Oh, is she talking?
Thanks. Hi again. I've got a question around fetters. Are you okay with that? I've never seen you mention the fetters, so I'm not sure if that's okay to
I
ask.
didn't I didn't come I didn't come on my path was not feathers. I know a little bit
Mhm.
about the feathers just from listening to some recordings and but it's definitely not my main deal
Okay.
at all. But I might could answer a question about it, but
Yeah. Yeah, I think it probably ties into like the same approach that you've been talking about with Sean. Um, so I started working on fetters 4 and 5, the reactivity, which is essentially very much tied to beliefs, I guess.
yeah,
So
yeah.
it's kind of the same thing. Um, and I thought somehow, because I approached it like the instruction you gave me to look for the awareness between, or the distance between the awareness and the visuals and sensory stuff the other day. So I approached it the same way and I was like, oh, I have these like sensory reactions to the situation that I picked up in my head to work on the reactivity. And I thought it was about like making the sensory reactions go away in a certain
Mhm.
way. Which then I asked Angelo about yesterday, and he was like, "Oh, no, that's not actually the reaction. The reaction that or the reactivity that you're trying to work on is." And then I realized I kind of pull away. I didn't even think it was a reaction because it feels like a non-reaction. So I kind of like retract and maybe go into thought, maybe
Mhm.
isolate,
Mhm.
um, to avoid being defensive because I feel like if I were to react really viscerally, it would be like maybe even aggressive or at least passive aggressive, or like it wouldn't work somehow. It wouldn't be good. So there's this whole judgment around my natural and soy impulses. So I retract and like kind of go into thought. In that, like the situation that I pulled up is like when somebody says something, points out something about me that I, for some reason, judge to not be good, or maybe they put it in a like a not so good light, although it is quite neutral.
Mm-hmm.
Like the last time it showed up was because I was working out in one of those. There's like outdoor gyms here, and like somebody from my spiritual group saw me and then made a comment about I have nothing else to do than working out at 9 a.m. And I got offended by that.
That's
Like
probably
I
pure
don't want
jealousy right there.
probably exactly. Like, and then afterwards, obviously, I realize that like I feel a contraction, and so it afterwards I think about it and like it's not a big deal and I don't feel it anymore, but I still have this like reaction to it. And when I slow down, I tend to go into the feelings of it and be like, oh, it's just like a knot in the stomach, or it's just whatever, like a little bit of a like a clenching feeling up here. I can just have that happen and then it's gone. But that's not exactly what happens in the moment. So do you have any insight? Like, can I actually work with this just making it come up in my mind, which is how they suggested in like Kevin suggests that in the fetter system? Or do I really just have to wait until it happens again and then kind of deal with the situation as it? I mean, I have to do that anyway. I'm just not sure. Like the last times, it was faster. Like it didn't stick around for weeks. Me trying to like pretend that I'm moping or not moping. It's maybe a couple of minutes or half an hour, but it's still like there's still a reaction, and it still like gets me
Yeah.
stuck in a place for.
Well, obviously, the most potent is if you can catch it as it's happening, as she told you, you're doing, well, you got nothing better to do but work out. If you can,
Yeah.
that's developing the meta awareness to catch it as it's coming, and then you get in that gap to see before the reaction, notice the feelings. But later that day, if you're at home and you're making dinner and your mind starts going back to that event, and you start
Yeah.
getting a little pissed off because she said that, you can work with it right then. You don't have to wait till another time that something happens. If you feel the energy of it, the thought, it's really the same thing.
Yeah, I don't feel it around that situation anymore. Like when I imagine somebody saying something about me that I don't like, I still have like a physical reaction, but in it's not something that's like maybe it's not a good situation then to work with this, because it's not something that I'm ruminating about
Yeah. Well, I
anymore.
mean, let's just say it's in the moment. Let's just go from
Yeah.
that moment. She comes by, you're working out. She says, you got nothing better to do to work out at 9 o'clock in the morning? It's like,
Yeah.
okay, you might feel like, oh, you're like laugh at her because she's your kind of friend or whatever, and you're like, oh yeah, whatever, joking. And then, but inside you're like, bitch or whatever, and then you have like a thought, you have the thought, and then okay, there's like a gap, and then there's the
Mm,
thought and the reaction and whatever you say to her or whatever, don't say, feeling
mm,
energy, whatever. So in that gap, when you first start working with this, the gap feels you like you can't even see it.
non-existent.
Yeah, it
Yeah.
just happens, boom, thought reaction, whatever. So as you get that meta awareness, what the way I say it is time appears to slow down. And
Yeah, I feel
that
it.
oscillation becomes more present. So
Uh-huh.
as she's saying, "Oh, you don't work," when you've been working with it for a while, and she says, "Oh, you got nothing better to do to work out," you'll be there right then when the thought says, "What'd she say?" Or whatever it is, or like, "How dare she say that?" And then like you can notice it.
Yeah, no, my thought goes to, oh, there's something wrong with me. Should I not be working out? Should I be working? Should I be doing something else? That's where I
Yeah,
go.
you can see the thoughts
Well,
there in that gap. It slows down. So at the beginning, you might have I shouldn't be doing this. What should I be doing? You feel angry, or you feel shame or whatever the feeling is.
Yeah.
And then you're like working out, you're getting all in your, more thoughts are coming, more shame, more anger. You might turn to something else or sadness. I don't have any real friends. You got all kinds of beliefs that'll start coming up then, right? So the
Yeah.
beginning of that thought reflection is that gap between the reaction. You see the thoughts coming up. You see the energy or the emotional whatever that it creates from thinking that thought. And then you feel like you feel it, and you just let that feeling be there, like you're just not touching any, like you said earlier in their question, you said make something happen. Any
Mm.
idea in that moment where you're like, I'm going to make something, do something, that's grasping, that's selfing, trying to grab a control of this experience. So there would be no
Yeah.
grasping, there's nothing to do here but see and feel. So you see what's the thoughts or what they're trying to do. You just see that they're appearing and disappearing. Then you see the algorithm operating. You see how the emotions come up and grab, create whatever feeling it have. Then if you're not like doing something crazy, whatever, and you're able to feel that, just stand there for a second and feel if you can feel that. Let it be
Yeah.
there. Don't make it wrong. Don't judge yourself. If you start judging yourself, you're in thoughts again.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I just now you talking, I realize that I, I'm really attached to pretending to not care. Like that's,
Yeah, there's a belief there.
yeah,
I don't
like
need
that
I don't need
it
anyone.
shouldn't,
I'm
it shouldn't like affect me.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Or there's a belief there about that. There's an armor.
Yeah.
It's an armor for sure.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
But the fact that you notice that already means there's an awareness there enough to notice that. Because
Yeah.
people
Well,
who
I
are
just
operating in
realized, like, if I don't do anything about it, that means that I'm affected, as if
yeah,
I could not be.
yeah,
Like, and being affected by what other people says means I'm weak or something like that.
right.
Yeah.
That's a belief too. You just said three or four beliefs right there in your sentences that you
Yeah.
can look at about this experience or any experience. But
Yeah.
that's what the work is. It's like you're seeing that operating in real time, and you see those beliefs, and you kind of
Yeah.
examine them, and then maybe do some inquiry around them, and be like, we're projecting our. Maybe she feels jealous, or maybe she feels like she's fat, and you're out there working out at 9 o'clock, and she's not disciplined enough. She's got her own junk going on, and so she says
It's
something.
a guy. It's a guy, but his identity is all tied around being like a provider and like somebody who works really hard. So
Yeah,
that's very clear. Like
yeah,
after I think about it, it makes a whole bunch of sense. But it's like there's a whole bunch of beliefs tied into it. Like people shouldn't be not nice to me. Like people need to be nice to me,
yeah,
and people need to care for my feelings. And also, like if they don't, I cannot like have any type of reaction to oh my god, there's a whole bunch of now that
yeah.
we talk about
But
it.
see, his beliefs don't matter.
No.
It's your projection, your beliefs that are causing you the suffering. So you've
Yeah.
named three or four of them just based on this little interaction. So you know what to
Yeah.
explore. The fact that you know them already means you've been exploring it and you have that meta awareness. So the more you see those beliefs operating, and then you realize they're making you suffer, or you realize there's a false reality that's being created that's not true, and that really doesn't
Mm.
matter. It's like, who cares what Bill thinks about this? It's like you get to that point, but you're not forcing it. You're not saying, "Oh, fuck him, I don't need him." That's the thought. That's the mind. That's not looking. That's the mind trying to
Yeah.
control it because it's uncomfortable and saying, you don't know. It's
Yeah.
you can get to that, but working with it and seeing that clear enough, those things can drop, like I was just talking about with Sean about. And then the next time he walks by and says, "Working out at 9 o'clock," like, yeah, kicking ass. What are you doing? It's just like you can be, like talk a little shit, but it's not got nothing there. It's more like you're just having fun.
Yeah.
You're not grasping. He's not bothering you.
Because I'm pretty sure he has no malicious intention either.
Probably
Like for
not.
him, it would be like a banter thing. And
Yeah,
if it
he's
were
probably just
for
talking
me,
shit. He's probably just talking.
Exactly.
Maybe he likes you. I don't know. Maybe he's just talking shit. It's like guys talk a lot of
Like
shit.
he usually
Sure.
cares for me. Like he's married and stuff. It's not a flirty thing, but it's just the way he interacts with people. I've seen him do that with pretty much everybody. He's the kind of like tough guy who just like talks shit with everybody, and that's his way of relating, you
Yeah, yeah,
know?
yeah. So looking at that in your own thing, maybe he didn't do anything wrong. Maybe it's on your all incorrect perception of the event.
Yeah, yeah, no,
Maybe
for
you can be
sure.
grateful for him activating that belief so you can look at it, right?
Oh yeah, no, for sure.
Yeah.
In theory, I absolutely agree
In
with you.
theory, we'll translate theory to direct experience and you'll suffer a whole lot less.
Yeah, for sure, for sure.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so I'll just sit with it then, like do some inquiry around that.
You just look, just try to get in that gap before the reaction comes and notice the feeling and the you might want to feel it for a while and let the feeling vanish and realize that the feeling is not the end of the world and you can process it and do that
Mm,
however many times you want and then later you can after the feeling is felt and you can inquire back into thoughts that might still be coming up and look at those and
mm,
question them and see what beliefs that are there and it's a process but it's done and the main thing that stops the suffering is staying in that gap before you say something or do something that could damage your relationship or you know or just damaging to yourself and your own belief system so getting in that gap and when I said like time slows down it's like then you that oscillation is always like stimulus thought reaction feeling thought reaction feeling you're totally mind identified people are not noticing you're not that way you've already noticed the uncomfortableness. You already noticed some of the beliefs that are accompanying that, which is
yeah.
fantastic. Most people don't ever get to that place. So now you can question it. The more you question it, and the more you feel it, that gap will widen, or it'll seem to widen, because time will seem to slow down. And as it
Mm,
when you have a stimulus come up next time, you'll already be there ready for it, because you're already
mm,
had the meta awareness to be working with this stuff. Then something will come up, and a thought will be like, somebody will say something, and you'll see a thought come up. You don't believe the thought, or you've taken
mm-hmm,
attention and power away from it, then the effect doesn't even come up. You've been in that gap, you've seen it, then the gap allows you to see it, and then whoom, it drops, and maybe you don't have a reaction. Maybe you
mm-hmm,
don't have react. I used to get really pissed off in traffic because I
mm-hmm.
drove trucks for a long time, and I was always in busy highways and busy towns, and just getting mad, just And it's like now I don't have any of that feeling on the inside, but I'll talk shit to drivers it's
Mm-hmm.
fun. There's no feeling here, but I like doing it. It's fun because I'm a shit
Mm-hmm.
talker too. And I'd be like,
Mm-hmm.
move, fuckhead, or like whatever in traffic, but I don't mean they're actually a fuckhead. They might be a very nice old lady. You know what I mean? It's just goofy energy. It's what it does to your system and if it affects you negatively and you know the difference. You know the difference.
Yeah, clearly.
Yeah, because friends will say stuff to each other, horrible things to each other, especially guys. We'll
You
we'll
won't
call
matter.
each other all kinds of names. One of my friends I talked to on the phone, I haven't called him by his name in 20 years. I always call him some kind of name, like dickhead or, it's just how we are. But it doesn't mean anything. Doesn't it's endearing. We give things the meaning. So if it's
Yeah,
affecting you as a projection, it's because you
yeah,
believe something about it. But if there's no belief there, you could say the exact same thing and it could just be banter.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Totally. Yeah. Okay.
Cool. Just work
Thanks.
with it a while and keep talking about it in the group and keep pulling it apart.
Thanks.
Yeah. Do you want to say something else, Sean?
I had a quick reflection on that, but I can also just put it in the group chat since we're over time.
Go ahead. It's cool.
And no, if anyone has to go, of course you can go. Just yeah, something that I found a couple days ago, or in these past couple days, what Johanna was talking about is very relatable. What I'm about to say might be totally wrong, right? I'm very clearly figuring this stuff out as all new. So, um, but something that has happened a couple times is, I guess, what is called the gap. Um, if dropping into presence during that time, so basically not turning to thoughts, I've found that the whatever that uncomfortable feeling is of like, oh, I don't like what that person said, and then the feeling, if sort of I feel into it, like why don't I like it? And again, I'm using words to describe this. It's kind of a nonverbal process when I'm doing it. It might be like, oh, it's because I'm worried that they're judging me or people think, there's going to be some sort of concern or fear. Um, and there've been a couple times where, again, not trying to make anything happen, not with words, but just like seeing that. And it's not exactly the framing Tony said of like, oh, imagine some teenager, but imagine it or not as me. There is able to be some sort of compassion for the innocence of that fear. And the best way that I can try to put into words, it didn't make it go away, but it made it completely okay for it to be there. And it no longer actually mattered what the external environment was that triggered it. And
Right.
so it's for me, because I think I've seen the same fetters video that Angela posts. I feel like that video, I misunderstood it because I felt like, oh, I'm just supposed to sit in this gap until eventually I learn that this is okay. But the experience for me has been more like once attention stops trying to go to the mind and just sits with this and stops going to all the judgments, there's sort of a natural compassion for or okayness with it being there, which feels to me more than what I imagined from that conversation. It should like I always felt like, oh, you just become okay with it, but it's felt more like acceptance. That's the word, like actual acceptance, emotional acceptance of it, which is interesting.
Yeah. What the last thing I'll say before we end it is just remember as a frame to keep in your mind or a way to look at this that's always helpful is from the field gives everything the meaning it has. And that's where the power is. So any belief, any way you frame anything in objective the relative world is like it's not happening to you. It's the field giving it the meaning, and that meaning can be retracted at any time. Like she's talking about with she put the meaning on him. It made her a little mad. She had thoughts about him. She can also retract that and see, you know, maybe he didn't, or whatever her beliefs are saying. She could pull those beliefs apart just like you can. That frees up that energy kind of back into in the field to either not be put back or to be put into a belief that's better. Like, oh, I can be more open person, or I'm not introverted all the time. I can be extrovert. Whatever the belief is, it's like your power. The power is in the field to supply this world with the beliefs, with the energy of those beliefs, and you do that through attention. But the attention can be pulled back, just like your thought belief, and put into a different place or kept back here and explored. And all of this stuff is just the way I word things from my own direct experience of how I worked with stuff. And that's what I'm always talking about on this channel. I'm not trying to have a new teaching or say this is the way it is. It's just my experience of working with this mysterious energy and the way that I solved some of those problems or saw some of those problems. I didn't solve shit, that's for sure. Okay. That was a good one, as always. All of them have been good. Hey, y'all. I'll see you in the group.
Thank
Thanks,
you.
Tony.